Whether you are going fishing or playing a dead video game franchise, you have a lot of time to think about mechanical keyboards. The COD67 by Gray Studio is one such keyboard that might warrant a little bit of thought. With great value and tons of options, it's enough to make you want to quick scope some fish and chips. Let's take a look, shall we?
The COD67 does not shirk away from customizability when it comes to looks. There are 10 different options for 4 different parts, as well as 2 additional options for the plate. What are all the options? We have silver, black, titanium, red, gold, rose gold, purple, ocean blue, sky blue, light green, and micro arc oxidation. That's a lot of options considering the fact that you can mix and match them with the top, bottom, accent, and nameplate of your case. Don't forget the micro arc oxidation for the top, bottom, and weight.
Those were a lot of choices, Huey. Seems like it's over 9,000?
Hell yeah! And you know what's under 9,000? The number 20, which is the amount of RGB LEDs this keyboard has underneath it. Despite that many RGB LEDs underneath a 60%, the diffuser on this keyboard works very efficiently. The underglow and side glow don't blind you like the sun a la K-type, but they also aren't hidden away and invisible like a ninja. They're adequately bright and are quite fashionable RGB accents. We love the subtlety of this. All the diffusers are all elegantly tucked inwards on the case. They're all shaped very nicely to accommodate the sleek angles of this keyboard.
Usually I'm a man that appreciates some good curves, but you might not know I'm surprisingly okay with angles as well, and this keyboard definitely delivers in that regard. Speaking of the design, it has that unique aesthetic we've been seeing from several Chinese keyboard designers lately.
A unique look? I'm Asian, but I'm not that kind of Asian, Brian. What do you mean by that?
So, something I've been noticing a lot from the Chinese designers is their use of angles, aggressive lines, and bold features, like the acrylic weight cover and micro switches on the ALF-X2, or the magnetic nameplate and recessed USB-C location of the COD67. They seem less afraid to take risks than some of the Western designers, who tend to veer more towards keeping a much more classic and elegant kind of look. To me, this is very refreshing, after seeing so many similar boards effectively rehashed. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about a clean and classic look too, but it's nice to step out of the norm sometimes, and like the ALF-X2, this is a perfect example of that.
I mean, that's cool and all, but a lot of Eastern designers love their arrow keys, don't they? How's that plate treating you?
Well, in terms of how it feels, it's about par for the course. Aluminum has never been my absolute favorite material to type on, but there are other options in the group buy. The top mounting of the aluminum plate option and the housing give this keyboard a very nice and assertive clacky sound that I don't get from a lot of other keyboards with aluminum switch plates. The biggest drawback here are the layout limitations.
What kind of limitations?
Well, even though you have your choice of left shift size, the more standard 2.25 unit or the more exotic 2 unit, you're forced to have arrow keys either way, which, while seemingly more popular in the Chinese keyboard community, is not the major favorite here in the Western community, where we prefer the much more standard 60% layout, or with minor augmentations, such as having a 7U spacebar with 1.5 unit Control, Alt, and 1U Windows keys, which are arguably more aesthetically pleasing as they're more symmetrical. Also, there is a little bit of light bleed through the plate from the underglow that is visible from the top of the keyboard.
60% plate is a little strange, to say the least.
Not only that, but whichever left shift option you decide to go with, there is a sacrifice, a deviation from how we're used to typing. If you opt for the standard 2.25 unit left shift, you'll be relocating your question mark key to the right side of your right shift, while having that right shift position move to the left full 1 unit. If you choose the more exotic 2U or 1U/1U configuration, your entire 4th row will be staggered to the left by 0.25 units, which might not sound like a lot, but it can be very awkward to get used to for a typist like me, who prefers slightly more standard layouts.
I opted for the 2.25U shift and turned my right shift into my missing / key. It's one of the times I'm happy I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to typing, because who needs a right shift? At least with this limitation and sacrifice, we have the wonders that is programmability. And speaking of, the COD67 is programmed via ydkb.io, which is remarkably easy to program the board if you want to do anything simple, like changing a few keys around or setting up to 8 layers, media controls, mouse controls, and LED controls. Programming is simple enough. You change your layout on the site and you save the bin file. Next, you plug in your keyboard while holding the escape key, and then replace the existing bin file on the keyboard with the new one you generated.
Nice and easy, just how we like it. Actually, efficiency was my middle name in high school. Yeah.
What's also easy and convenient is going through zFrontier for this group buy. The price includes shipping, which is always super fast from DHL, and going in on this keyboard will cost you as low as $265. There are options for a lot of different colors, as I mentioned earlier, but it's the micro arc oxidation choices that will drive up price a bit, as well as the option for a brass or titanium plate. Fully spec'ing your keyboard with Mao top, bottom, accent, and a titanium plate will turn your $265 to a $299, which is honestly still a pretty great deal as it's a threshold of that $300 price point, shipping included. Regardless of any choice, I think going for the titanium plate would be the most interesting option because there isn't really anywhere else you can try titanium as a plate option today.
I built up my micro arc oxidation review sample with Kale black switches and Enjoy PBT black on black keycaps with Hangul sublegends, because both are good value, just like the keyboard itself, so it fits the theme, just like the black and white color aesthetic I'm working with here. It's been great so far.
That's definitely a pretty fun build. Mine is pretty hunky-dory with Hako clears, GMK Iris on top. I'm absolutely loving it, and while many people think GMK Iris is very much on the gaudy over-the-top side, I think the loud colors work well with my purple case and it ties it together really well. The Hako clears are smooth and really enjoyable. I am liking my build. Things are looking and feeling good.
Either way, I think it's safe to say we're pretty darn happy with the boards that we got, even for being B-stock review units. There is a ton of value packed into this keyboard, which is what we've come to expect from group buys ran through zFrontier. Here at Top Clack, we're definitely big fans of value, as our wallets are pretty limited, like yours probably are. Thank you all very much for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this review of the Gray Studio COD67.